Do you guys want to talk about the market real quick? So, where are we at? We're on ETH here. How was the beginning of August? It went really well. That's how well the beginning of August went. No, actually, so we started the ETH ETF right here. Here's where the ETH ETF started. And that went from that caused a 40% drop. It didn't cause it. Let me rephrase that. After the ETH ETF started trading, there was a 39.4% drop in price of Ethereum. That is painful. Quite painful. Now, however, we have seen a 23% increase from that bottom since, but it is reminiscent of what we talked about before with the Bitcoin ETF, right? So the Bitcoin ETF, we saw Bitcoin drop, I think, damn near 30% when the ETF launched. And the ETF, and that drop took, you know, hold on, I'm on the 4 hour. That drop on the Bitcoin ETF took about 2 weeks, right? So coming here, yeah, we're 2 days after 2 weeks. In fact, hold on. In fact, if we were to go 14 days exactly, that's, oh my gosh, I'm just making more bars over here. 14 days exactly would be like the August 6th, the day after this bottomed out. So we would anticipate we would start to climb from here. The hope is that we'll climb from here. So, but that's the market in general right now, especially for Ethereum. Yeah. We had a big day yesterday. I think we climbed 14% on ETH yesterday alone. Bit of a pullback today, but the idea is that we're going to have a continuation, right? So if we go back, if we pull up the weekly chart, there's this giant hangman candle that's about to be formed in 2 days. Like, let's say, for example, ETH closes around 2,700 or so for the week. If this weekly candle closes right around 2,650, 2,700, that'll be what they call a hangman candle. And that you would expect to see a reversal. Now, at that point, you would look to see ETH try to break at least 3,600 and then 4,000. So if we have a hangman candle form here for this week, moving into the next 2 months, we could see Ethereum kind of pull a new all-time high like Bitcoin did. So Ethereum's all-time high is about 48.67, right? And so the idea is this forms a hangman candle, and then we climb up to about 5,000, maybe 5,500. That would be kind of cool because then you could call this like a bit of a bull flag into a breakout after the ETF is fully formed or fully like established in the market. So something to keep an eye on. Any questions, comments, concerns? Aaron changed his profile picture to a helicopter doing dirty things to a plane. Just kidding. That's actually Aaron. Remind me, is that a work photo or did you just is that something that you've seen before? Bueller. I really should make Ian come up on stage. He doesn't work hard enough as it is. He should join us up on stage. Seen it. Okay, cool. Actually, I think you sent me that video at one point. They towed that plane a distance Actually, yeah, you did send me that video. It was towing the plane and then it refueled midair, which is pretty cool. Anyway, all right, we're moving on. July update. We're going to make this short and sweet because July kind of sucked from the market standpoint. There wasn't a lot going on. Summer doldrums, the usual. So, in the announcement I wrote in the main announcement channel, we had given an update on the DeFi Fund, where we were with the contracts, and that remains mostly true. So there's not really much to update from that standpoint. We have a few adjustments that we've made to the report to prep for client revenue. So we did not change Pepe in his BlockCentral tracksuit and flag. That did not change, but we did make some other adjustments. So July summary, we finished about 700,000 market cap. Again, we continue to burn supply. In fact, I think we burn a bare minimum, just maintenance wise, we burn about 1% of the supply a month. I'm hoping that we can raise that to 2%, maybe 2.5% in relatively short order once we kind of get things flushed out and moving along. Kind of what we talked about before, DeFi Fund is kind of in this pseudo holding pattern for a lot of the CLPs. We fully anticipate that there will be another very strong alt season once the ETH ETF starts to display some strength. So we kind of got a good start to it yesterday. Having a 14% day on ETH is always a great outcome. We're hoping for several days and weeks where we can see growth like that from ETH. And once we see that growth from ETH really take off, we expect to see a similar alt season that we saw in February and March after the Bitcoin ETF really started to saturate the market. And so that should directly translate to those CLPs coming back into range. We anticipate seeing pretty strong fiat value gains on those positions while they sit out of range. Those potential gains on the positions as they are out of range is more than what we could be earning on them if we were to realize the impermanent loss associated with the positions. So it is a bit of a chess move. It is a bit of a longer range strategy. In the short term, it looks like we're not making much revenue, but ultimately the gains on this unique circumstance with the values being where they are will outpace any revenue we could have earned if we were to realize some of that impermanent loss. Cool. Like we talked about, the ETH ETF launched on July 23rd. We expect 2.5 weeks of bad price action, and hopefully this 14% we saw yesterday is the start of something more. When Bitcoin did it, it dropped pretty severely, but then grew by more than 50% in the following 2 months. We expect something similar. So client side, we have a small delay on our 2 contracts. The 2 contracts are signed, and we got confirmation this morning that they fully intend on fulfilling the contract. So there's no issues there. There's no concerns there. There's just a delay. So the first contract, they're using an intermediary bank in order to bring the funds into Panama, and that bank is requiring some additional paperwork from them. Unfortunately, one of the growing pains of this process is we were a little naive about what cross-border transactions and finance was going to look like, and so we've been navigating that a bit. And so the first contract is about to begin, but the intermediary bank is requiring some additional paperwork. So we're kind of waiting for that to get approved so we can move forward. The second one is a group of investors. They are just waiting for final approval from one of their senior partners. The projected 50 to 60,000 revenue for July is still expected. It's delayed to August. So We're hoping for some movement next week, but this is just the nature of the business. Things are talked about until they actually occur. With some additional streams of revenue currently being explored. In fact, one of the streams of revenue, which we're kind of excited about, Barry and I have been discussing, he kind of formulated it, is we have all these different people coming to us and asking us questions, whether it's about on-ramping or off-ramping, different services. And Barry came up with an idea that we could use some of the DeFi structure in a more TradFi circumstance. So we're in the process of kind of formulating what would essentially be an LP. It would be just a liquidity pool that's half fiat and half crypto. Like whether it was Tether, USDC, and then the other half would be dollars. Now, naturally, the crypto would just be in our wallet. The dollars just would be in our bank account associated with the company. But the way it would work functionally is then we could have a one size fits all pool of capital that we could use for all of our potential clients. So, for example, we have a potential client that we're talking to right now who owns, I think, 5 or 6 restaurants between Panama, Colombia, and Costa Rica. And in order to make remittance easier for him across those 3 jurisdictions, he wants to use crypto, which is great. It's fine. All 3 of those jurisdictions have little to no opinion on crypto as an asset. There's no regulatory issues. But those transactions are smaller, in the several thousands of dollars instead of, say 500,000 or $1 million. And so the idea is we could take this hybrid liquidity pool and we can service all of his needs for on-ramping and off-ramping through the pool. So let's say he had $50,000 in crypto from this past month's business in one of the countries. He sends it to our pool. We send him back fiat from the other side of the pool, and then we collect a fee on that. That way, we can collect a fee on that transaction without incurring the OTC on-ramp, off-ramp service fee that we have contracted. So it's a way for us to actually collect more revenue ourselves without parsing out some of that revenue to whomever we might subcontract to. Additionally, Barry did a good job of structuring it in a way that we could actually treat it like we treat yield farming in crypto. So in yield farming crypto, you guys commit your capital to earn a piece of the transaction fees, right? And piece of the revenue. So we could do something similar through our bank, where we'd have to get the paperwork drawn up, but investors could commit a chunk of capital and then earn a percentage of the fee that we earn from all of the transactions. So there's a bit of client investor dynamics there that we can use to be able to grow the company. So let's say, for example, we have $500,000 in that pool, half of it roughly crypto, half of it roughly fiat. But we have a client that needs $1 million. At that point, we would need to do a few things manually. However, if we have a handful of high net worth individuals who want to commit, say, a few $1 million to the pool, earn on the transaction fees from the pool, then we would be able to service that client without any interruption in the pool's balances. So we're working on that. So we have our 2 contracts that are signed. They're just delayed a little bit for stuff that we just have to navigate, bureaucracy. And then on top of that, we have a bunch of these other services that are being requested. And we are in the process of developing a way that we can handle all of them within the same structure, which will make our lives a lot easier, actually. And so, while we want to have clients that are large, like the 2 clients that we have signed under contract, that it's cumulatively more than $5 million in transaction fees, which is great. And we'll take every one of those clients we can find. However, we have discovered that there is a number of people in the region who have needs that are more in the $10,000 to $50,000 range. But if we can collect, 100 of those transactions in a month or two, and kind of build from there, that's still going to be significant revenue earned for the organization. So the way that we go through handling those at scale without making our lives miserable, something like this hybrid pool between crypto and fiat would make our lives a lot easier. So that's something that we are in the process of navigating right now at the moment as well. So moving on. So this page got a bit of an update. It used to be our yield generation page. It is now our revenue generation page. Just kind of going through the numbers before. Obviously, July is very low, and we knew it was going to be low because we talked about it beforehand. We talked about how almost all of the positions were held out of range intentionally because of the fiat value versus the revenue potential. However, we wanted to put on here expectations for the future. So all of this revenue in red was only from the DeFi Fund's CLP positions. Now, what we want to do is we want to make sure that you guys are aware that when it comes to the future, the revenue projection, that's including client services. So not only do we anticipate a new run on altcoins in the next few months, which will boost revenues back to where we think they were before, we're also going to have the revenue injections of client services. And so we're going to begin to transition to this hybrid revenue approach, which is the DeFi Fund's yield revenue plus the client services revenue. And this two-pronged approach will help kind of enhance the protocol's earnings significantly over time. So we do expect something like this to grow as we continue to expand our footprint within our jurisdiction. And so the funny thing is like traditionally in something like this, it's very network based, it's very relationship based. And so when we actually go through and execute these 2 contracts that we have signed, it will the anticipation is it will immediately open doors with other potential clients, because those people will be like, hey, they'll go to their network and they'll be like, hey, we did this, it was great, it was fast, these guys are professional, you should use them as well. And so that's the anticipation. And so we're kind of shifting to this projection of a hybrid approach when it comes to the revenue. And so we wanted to put that visually in place for you guys to know what we're looking forward to. While we enjoyed the DeFi Fund yield only revenue approach, we want to move to something that is not just sustaining us, but is growing us. And so, as you know, I'm very keen on doing a lot of buybacks and burning a lot of supply and delivering value to you guys, not just in the form of APR, but in the form of value growth. And in order for us to do that, we need to focus on this 2-pronged approach of deriving as much revenue as possible for the protocol. Spill the beans. Sulazaki, you were late, so you're going to have to listen to the first 15 minutes of the recording. That's not my problem. Moving on. Total revenue generated, over $350,000 generated. Actually, if I remember correctly, we have bought back more than $225,000 in tokens since November. Most of those were distributed for rewards, which half of those were burned. So we're making a pretty solid dent on the token supply and burnings. We're at 4.7 as the end of the month. As of right now, we are. Let me look. Hold on. Sulazaki, if you want a Viking picture, you're gonna have to buy a Viking. We are at 4.955 million tokens burned. So we are just short of 5 million tokens burned, which means we will be under 70 million supply total within the next 2 days. Actually, I expect that to happen tomorrow night. Ian, if you're listening, tomorrow night we need a 5 million burned GIF when you get around to it. Fund diversification, you guys have seen this page before. Numbers. Again, July was a rough month for the market as a whole, including Ethereum, including altcoins. We took about a 14% hit on the value of the fund for July, which wasn't unanticipated. But again, that was with these positions being held out of range intentionally. I think Ethereum lost 20% or so on its value for July. So we're just kind of riding that wave right now. So none of these performance numbers are a surprise. We do continue to push a bit more of this trading allocation bit to client services for administrative stuff. Eventually, the trading allocation will go to zero, simply just as we need capital. And those returns have always been roughly 3-4% a month. It hasn't been outstanding. It's been a nice little consistent output for us. But at the end of the day, we'd rather have that and being in service to our client services. And again, all of that capital will be recouped and redistributed back to the DeFi fund once it's earned on the client side. DeFi fund allocation, as expected, about 50% of it is client side right now. And again, that'll be coming back as revenue is earned. And then we'll be able to redistribute it into earning potential on chain as we push things around. So just something to keep in mind. DeFi fund operational assets was roughly the same, 3,500 to 4,700. This was the metrics that matter. About 50,000 down for the month, off of 430,000. Yeah, so it was about 12%. No. Yeah. 12% loss for the month on the DeFi fund in total. Again, the month was negative pretty severely, so that's not unanticipated. Treasury allocations, yeah, the number is the same as before when it comes to loss versus the month's macro loss. Operational LP, again, these numbers you can review once the playback is posted, but these are all the standard operational balances. Not much changes here. I think this one changed by $3,500 roughly. So that was mostly just a actually, let me see. STS Plus, it is now 0. So we had some STS Plus dust left last month that was a total of $175. So we just pushed it into USDC and used it elsewhere. So that will be the last time this is listed on one of the monthly reports. So that will be sad. But again, remember, STS Plus is a fully collateralized USDC. So if you do have any, you can redeem it, and that money will just be sitting there until you do. So that we have no control over that contract. So if anyone does have leftover STS Plus, you can redeem it at any time. All right, protocol metrics. Market capitalization is roughly the same, 838 to 856. The LP to circulating 9 and 10, I always like to point out because those are the healthiest ones. LP to circulating market cap ratio is about 41%. Backing LP to circulating market cap ratio was 20%. Extremely healthy. For everyone who is yield farming, thank you so much for participating in the yield farming and providing liquidity. In fact, let's see. The APYs are down just a little bit as the protocol matures, but not much. So single staking APY went from 19.3% to 17.7. And then the farm APY went from 45.2 to 41.8. So we're still above 40% on the farms and still above 17% on the single staking, which is really strong. And I want to make sure that the rewards keep going out, because I think it's important to compensate people who are staking and farming for their time. So while we do want to see the token value grow, and we do want to see the DeFi fund grow, and we do want to see that value be realized by investors, because ultimately that's the goal, right? As investors, to make money. I view it as every day that you're engaged in the staking pool or the farm, I feel like you should be compensated for that. And that's where the APY comes from, right? So the 42% for farming, the 17% for staking, that's you being compensated for your time commitment to the pools and to the protocol. And so we keep those rewards flowing, whether it's through buybacks or uncirculating supply, just to be able to make sure that you guys are being compensated for your time. With that being said, last month we burned almost 900,000 tokens, and that's more than 1% this past month. We've burned more than 5% of the supply in total. As of tomorrow night, we will be below 70 million supply, which is great. And then we spent about just over $10,000 in buybacks last month. So 55% of that was straight to the burn pile, which is great. And that is it. I think Ian put a new picture up here on the end page. Pepe is now a pirate captain with champagne on a BlockCentral ship. So thank you, Ian, for that. Yeah, let me see if I can zoom in a little more. Here we go. He's got the BC on the oh no, I'm blanking. Sail. Jeez. Oh Lord. It's been a week. Got the BC on the sail, got the crow's nest, got the BC champagne glass. But Pepe is looking real classy in his leather fitted pirate jacket. Although he's got leather pants on, which Ian, I have some questions. What kind of pirate is this? Because he's almost too fashionable to be a pirate. I think this might be a staged photo. You know what I mean? Like he might be a little his wrists might be a little loose. You know what I mean? Like there's something going on. You're freaking me out here. Anyway, there you go. That is the monthly report. We are darkest before the dawn sort of situation, but we are in a good place, I think. I think we are we're in a healthy spot. We got, like I said earlier, we got confirmation this morning that the contracts that we have signed will be fulfilled. They will be moving forward. There's just some delays with their side, which unfortunately, with cross-border transactions and finance, international finance in general, there's some hoops you have to jump through and processes that you can't skip over, and everybody's doing their part to make sure that it's done the correct way. So, but we do anticipate that 50 to 60,000 for the month to come in. And then we do have anticipated revenue beyond that once those are completed. So we are actively looking to explore that hybrid LP pool that I was talking about before with the client services, something that's a one fit all that can kind of be a catch all for any and all clients that we have come in that are interested in on ramp, off ramp. But there's a lot going on. So because it's summer, couple of our main contacts in country are on holiday, plus some other, availability issues. So we're kind of navigating that. But otherwise, things are moving in the right direction. Optimism remains high, and that's where we find ourselves at the end of July. Any questions? Any thoughts? Sailing to Bali to retire. Gay Pepe is sailing to Bali to retire. I don't know if is that acceptable in Bali? He might need to sail to San Francisco. Yes, Viking. Yeah. I mean, the end of July, beginning of August was a bloodbath for literally everybody. I remember I was looking at the liquidation website and there was over $1 billion liquidated at one point in a 24-hour period. And that doesn't happen if things are going well for everybody. That does not happen when things are great and it's just us who suck. No, that's when everything sucks. And we are riding the wave. Just not the same wave as Gay Pepe. Thanks, Ian. Yeah, that's it for the monthly update. I'm not going to waste any more of your guys' time. That's the status. We will keep you guys informed with the client services that we have going on currently that we're getting ready. Oh, now you're blaming AI. Now we're going to have a big gay AI that we're going to I'm telling Zuckerberg that you call this AI gay. He's going to be mad at you. That's the update. Thank you guys so much for dropping by. If you were here at the beginning, you have $5 in free block coming your way. I sent a screenshot. So for those who don't know, every once in a while, if people don't show up on time, I will give everyone who's present free block instead of picking a few winners at the end of the update. And that's what we did today. So I will pull the names from that screenshot and I will tag you all in the Gen chat and you can open up tickets and then we will get you sorted later today or this weekend. Other than that, thank you everybody for being here. We appreciate the time, appreciate the patience. We are making progress, but it's slow. When we're building a real business, so unfortunately takes longer than you'd think sometimes. Barry and I do spend a good chunk of time each week banging our head against the wall, but we're making progress. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. And then we will see you next week or next month, depending on how late you are, Sulazaki. Have a good day.